Ready to perform coaching. It is 12/8/2021. So let's roll. I want to show you a couple of things with the stars that are important that you'll see pretty consistently. Okay, so there's a scalping tool. I'll go more and more into this in individual coaching sessions. So the first thing you're going to notice is I removed the no supply, no demand bars. It's just a visual blasting. I also removed my arrows off the chart because it is a visual blasting. And I've been having obviously I'm struggling, so I'm trying to go back to the root of just getting my trades where they want to be. So let's look at a couple of things. Last night I posted the dynamic support resistance zones, right? I just want to show how those worked on NQ. So this is important, this chart, right? Because what it's telling you is where you would expect a response. So like yesterday evening. So this is where the market went out. This is right before Asia opened. See this? So this was the high from yesterday, but this is what, excuse me, why do I have that white line marked off? That white line was just there for a reference point. This is where we originally ran in. You can see we opened up in Asia, right? So see these points of control? Normally you would have expected rejection right here. Okay, actually this was into the close. But then we got above that power bar right there. So see when we get above, we come back in to test it and we push. Now, I want you to watch two things. See when we push back up? So two things are going on here, and I'm going to try to explain this concept to y'all as peacefully as I can, right? Why isn't this lighting up? There we go. Let me get my other keyboard going. I think that's it. There we go. Okay. Hold on 1 second here. I guess it doesn't much matter. Let's look at my phone. Okay, so see when we come underneath, so we come up, we backside test, right? We roll up. So two things. When we roll up and we leave these power bars behind, stops are right behind them, right? So watch what happens when we get behind them. So it works two ways. That's what I was trying to communicate in the video I posted last night, is that when we first come, so see when we get over here, we left this power bar behind, right? So see when we come to the backside test of that, we're going to get above it, come into it, and push, right? So these are going to leave future support areas and locations where there are stops, right? Right behind these power bars. So see how we get right behind the power bar, take the stops, and drop. We get right behind these power bars, and they drop. So the one thing you'll notice is once you backside test a power bar, each subsequent time makes it weaker and weaker. So sometimes it holds twice, right? But it tells you it can give way, right? There's another part to that concept, right? So remember, these are 15-minute bars, right? So when you see, so I'm looking right here. I'm going to try and do this as slowly as I can so y'all can see it. So see that power bar right there? I know when I close completely underneath that in general, okay, this point will now be resistance. So you can say, but Simon, it pushed all the way up before it did. And it did and it didn't. And let me explain that. If you look closely, right, if you widen that out, right, you'll see that we closed underneath, right? We pushed all the way down to 16,359. Then we pushed right back to 16,382. And from 16,382, we pushed back all the way back to 16,360. Now, was it a giant rotation down? No. Was it 20 points or $400 a contract? It was, and it gives you location, right? You then had London open, so that kind of resets the market for the day. So if you look, right, now that we've taken out this area, right, this has already been tested and got a response, right? This was tested and it got a response. So the next logical thing for the market to do, since there's no what I'll call opposing power bars, is to take out stops on the other side of that range. So let me show you. So see this morning when I wrote in the, before I left, 16,240, 75 is the logical place to take out stops, right? So that wasn't entirely accurate. There's other places to take out stops because if you'll look, it goes the opposite way. Not only does it bounce off the top of them, but watch as you get behind them. So when we get behind this, so first we'll get behind these. There's stops sitting behind them. So see they get underneath, they rotate back up. There's a stop sitting behind this. So see how mechanical it is? So when the market's not moving super fast, it'll get behind, counter rotate. Then the last piece is this right here. Okay, so see how we get to that 16,327? We took out the stops behind that power bar. Now, where's the logical place to roll up? Well, we left these behind, right? So this is the first time we've closed, so I'd kind of do it like this. If I look, I would say this morning, barring an insane open, so it's hard to do on the open, right? Now from here to here, this is now your resistance, 3750 to 13,360. So remember, these are higher time frame ideas, right? And then where's the next place where there's stops that'll be taken out? 16,241.50, and that's a big stretch, and it completes this poorly auctioned area below. And you'll notice there's no opposing no opposing power bars that need to be tested. So Sean and Joyce, this is what this is doing, is giving y'all a location to go look for the trade, right? And then you'll notice over here, see how these haven't been tested? This and this. So I'd put a support like this to this. See how that never got backside tested? So I can bet dollars to donuts. If we get to 16,166 to 16,148, we'll get a counter rotation there. So when I slide that over, so let me give you a prior example. So I was really struggling with this the last couple of weeks to figure out how to get a trade on properly. And I used to use this all the time. And then Ram came in the room and he was talking about these supply demand bars. I was like, and I couldn't figure out why I was having such a hard time in the volatility. But now I figured it out. So let me show you what I mean by that, right? So see over here how we swept through and never bothered testing any of this from here to all of these over here, right? So I'd put a zone there. What I would expect without looking at that is that blindly 15,859 to 15,930.75, which I realize that's a wide area, but I would expect response out of that area. I would look for a setup in that location. So let's see what happens. We know we get there. Okay, there's the first time into that 16,859. So it overshot it by almost 20 points, right? But it clearly rolled down, right? Once you got into this area, it clearly give you counter rotation, right? Now watch. See how when we came up originally, we left this power bar behind, right? And this power bar's failed when they originally got out of it, but it didn't get an orthodox close above. So just follow what I'm saying, right? So what you'll see is that what I would have wanted here would have been a backside test right into this area, right here, right? Now, did it give it to me? I don't think so. I think it's when we just took off into a mad straight up, right? But normally when you look at rotating markets, when they're rotating up and down, you'll come in and, okay, so this is a good example. Like, okay, so see how we push down? I'm going to go, okay, guys, if I was looking at this chart, I'd go, when we get here to here, I expect potential counter rotation. Now notice, if it doesn't give the counter rotation, right, notice that usually when it backside tests it, if it gets above and doesn't reject, it'll use it as support and push forward. So remember, we're going to flip to the algo to look for confirmation of the trade. Does that make sense? And where do I want to take out? My ultimate target would be take out the stops behind this location. So see how there's no power bar up here? I know that this will be relatively easy in a general way to potentially trade through, right? Because there's no power bar to reject it. Additionally, you'll notice that not only do I have that, but also I want to test from here to here, give or take. I want to push right into this area to backside test these power bars to get the rotation back up. So I'm watching as I come in. I'm going, hey, as I come into this area, right? So here's 8:30, right? We open up. Notice that we test when we overshot this area and we couldn't quite make it to this area, and that gives the counter rotation back up, right? Now as we roll back down, right, the first thing I'm going to say is, hey, when we backside test this, see how it bounces? It's a 15-minute bar, so you got to remember it came in and it rotated back up, actually from 80 all the way back to 04. So it was a big counter rotation, right? What I'm trying to show you is on a higher time frame where the pieces are going to go. So now when I'm looking to the downside, I'm going to go, okay, there's nothing to test over here. We've taken all this out, right? So there's stops here. What happens when we get behind here? Counter rotation. There's stops here, and there's stops here, right? So you'll notice all that stuff. So you'll notice when we get behind here, we counter rotate. They rotate behind here. You'll see again that we counter rotated. It's not to the tick kind of stuff, but it is where we are counter rotating. And then you'll also notice here when we get behind this. See how we get behind it? And so we're looking for signals. These are 15-minute bars. We're looking for signals on the smaller time frame. And then what do I want to do? I want to get to that 15,788, right? If I can. I want to get down to that 15,788. So see when I get to it, see how when I get right behind it? That 15,788 was, oh, there it is the first time. So this, if I go back to the left, is the stop from 11:28 Sunday evening's low, right? So I have two ways. So am I explaining clearly how to use those in two different ways? Joyce, is that making sense to you? When I take out those stops, I'm going to expect a counter rotation back up in those locations. And then additionally, right, what I'm going to say is I would anticipate if we were sitting right here, right, I'd go, when I get back over here, right, I'm going to put a line like this. I'm going to go, hey, when we get back over here to these guys, I expect counter rotation. So look what happened. Remember, it's a 15-minute bar. It's huge, right? So see how it comes right to the bottom of that power bar? Sean, is this making sense at all to you? Or Joyce, is this making sense? Hey, Elias, good morning. See how when we get underneath, we're coming almost right to the tick of that power bar, then counter rotating back down, right? So then once we've taken that out, right, see how there's nothing left to test? Everything, this has all been tested. See, we got underneath, we came back to test it. There's nothing left, so no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm recording it, so you can watch it later, Sean. We're cool. So when you come back over here, once all this stuff gets tested, now let's take out the stops over here. So see, once we take out the stops behind here, now we set that process back up. And you'll notice, once we get above that power bar, see how we come back in to test it? And when we initially test it, it gives the counter rotation back up, right? So we've been in a bit of a whack market in terms of some of the stretches, but that process repeats over and over again, right? Like bottom line, that process just is constantly repeating. So that's what I am. Hold on one second. That is what I'm looking for. Then I would assume when I get behind here, I'm either going to break out or find exhaustion, right? So when you look, see how it gets behind that? Once it gets behind, exhaustion, and roll to the downside. So it's connecting the big pieces. So on the big time frame, I can connect the dots, and it effectively creates floating support and resistance for me, right? So I keep that over here, and it works the same on all the products. As a matter of fact, it's almost more important to me than any of the other stuff that I have on the charts are those specific locations, because I know where to go pinpoint. And look, I was really struggling till I pulled that back out. I used to use that all the time in high volatility. Had I had this even a week ago, I would have been trading much better than I did. It makes it much easier for me to see where I'm looking. Wow, I don't like how that looks. Let's see if I can fix this. Let's try it the other way. I think I like that. Right. So see over here how I pull right behind this on CL? So now I don't have anything to help me, right? So I want to get behind this or let something else develop so that I can trade it. So it's either 70.91 or 72.57. And actually now that's moved up to over here. So 72.78 are my edges until something else develops, right? You can see they just swept this whole area. And see, once they get behind this, set up a reversal overnight, and then we swept the whole range to get behind this. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, right? So the other thing I want to show you, so now I'm going to switch gears, right? So in talking to Daniel about the stars, by the way, I show NQ as long right now against the low. If you can tolerate the stop, that's a big key. You got to be able to tolerate the stop on that trade, by the way. So, and you're pushing in 9 minutes from the open, right? So, important point is, so I was showing, of course, we want a 19 tick because Daniel just has to be special the way that he does things. You'll notice that if you can take out so Bill, this is in addition to what you've been doing. So just look at it and absorb it and go, yeah, I like that, or no, that's terrible, or whatever you want to say. However you want to look at it, it's fine with me, right? There's no per se right way or wrong way in effect to look at this, right? But what Daniel noticed immediately is if you have a power bar, right, like this, if you have a power bar like this, and you take out that power bar, and when you take out that power bar, you get a star underneath it, it lifts immediately. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So it's an in addition build to everything else that we've been working on, right? So see how we have the power bar here? And they take it out. If they take that power bar out, right, and then they come back with a star on top of that bar when they take that out, it's a total long. I'm sure you agree with that. I'm pretty sure you don't have any conflict with taking that trade, right? Hey Ram, are you in the room? So what that means is, so see how over here, even this morning, so see how you take out this power bar right here, and it comes back with a star underneath. Total roll to the downside. It's a scalping paradise, is what it is. And so Bill and I were discussing, how do you mechanize what we're looking at? How do you get it so that it makes sense that what you see on your chart matches? How do you not go nuts? So one of the things I did, everyone noticed, I took off the no supply, no demand bars, right? I took off there was arrows to show triangle up, triangle down, right? I tried to reduce the noise so we can focus more on the chart that we are looking for, right? So there's so many ways to trade those stars, and there's reason why there's so many ways is because they create powerful pivots, right? That push the market one direction than the other, right? So in that process, so Bill's been going back and forth with me, desperately trying to convince me that, hey, this is how you trade this this particular setup or this particular chart, right? So, and I've been going, well, no, and wait a minute, and that doesn't make sense. So let me show you the way Bill came up with, which I agree with. I think is actually quite effective in setting up the chart. I want to show you the way he figured out, and I think I agree. Actually, I don't even think I agree with him. I totally agree with him. So when you see the chart, I'm going to go back to yesterday. Okay, so what we are looking for, and I figured out a couple variations on it overnight. So let's find where we are going lower. Okay, so see how we're moving down, and instead of getting a start at the downside, um, well, no, that didn't set up there. Let me see if I can find it. Dun, 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 dun. 141. Okay. Um, okay. See, as we're pushing up here into 956, so forget about these upside stars for a minute. See, once I get this downside star right here, so this is the most conservative way I can explain this. Okay, I don't have a better way. I don't have a better way of explaining this beyond this. You get triangle up, right? Excuse me. You get star to the downside, right? It then comes back up against it with a triangle up, right? Star. So we're ignoring the stars to the upside, right? We're getting triangle up, and then you get an engulfing bar, orthodox bar, a speed bar, or an algo underneath. That starts your roll to the downside. And what this tells you is momentum is shifting significantly. Not just, oh, it shifted a little bit. Like, it shifted significantly from that part. So what that will do, oops, hold on. Okay, so this shows me that momentum is switching, right? So you'll notice that every time I get one of these bars and I come back up against it with a triangle, and then I get an algo underneath, you'll notice that that's setting me up for a big roll to the downside. So there's two ways to play it effectively, right? I can have first I get a power bar. The power bar gets stopped, and when it gets stopped, it sets up with a star. That is an insta scalp at the minimum, and for good points, right? Again, if you'll look, I get I'm going to spread this out so you can see it. Sometimes you have to do it multiple times, right? I get a power bar. Power bar gets taken out by a few ticks. When it's a star, down it goes. Get a power bar. It's taken out by a couple ticks. Prince a star. That one was a big evacuation of the city. So there's two sides to playing that. 1 second. There's two sides to playing that. It doesn't matter which way it really doesn't matter which way you trade it. They both are effective. You do have to sort it out in your brain which way you're going to trade it. But I was in effect arguing with Bill about, and you obviously want to use location, right? You want to put all those pieces together from the bigger time frame to the smaller time frame so that you get all those pieces together at one time, right? And arguing would be a strong term, but I was disagreeing with Bill. That's what I would say is I was disagreeing with Bill as to the best way to trade these. So see how we just got behind all these power bars, so it's right at the open, right? But if I came back now with a star I'd want to see it push to the long side, right? So remember, I'm trying to take out 16, I think 303 on NQ. No, I don't have anything at 16303. Scratch that. I have 16240.75, right? Why? Because that's where all the stops are freaking sitting, right? Look, there's no power bars to the upside left to take out, right? So it could hold support here, right? Someone could respond, but I really would like to see it behind 16240.75. We've certainly had 100-point ranges for a stop and a rotation back up, right? Where would I look now? Where would I expect there to be resistance? From here to here, from 16,338 to 16,364. Why? Well, actually, and I'll take it back. Done, tested, down. See how we came right to 38.75 and rejected? There's really nothing. Everything on top has been tested. Everything on bottom, the logical places to go is to 16,240.75 and take out that stop, right? Re-auction all of this poorly auctioned area, and then we find the reversal. The same pattern works on ES. Okay, the same pattern works. So if I'm looking at this and I go, oh, well, there's the start of the upside. So what am I looking for? Now I'm looking for it to triangle down and then power bar up. It didn't do that, right? Am I looking to take this? No. So what am I doing? I'm reducing the number of stops I take and I'm reducing the number of trades, and I'm getting mega focused on the specific trade that I'm taking. And those of you who've been in the room for a while know that it takes me a while to kind of sort through whenever I make an adjustment, right? It takes me a while to sort through what I'm looking for on a trade. So I'm trying to get location, like we're coming right down to that 16,240.75, right? On ES, right? So see how I have this star up now? I don't want to take that blindly, right? So actually let me move, since it's inventory day, let me move CL over. And obviously ES is not the insane in the membrane trade that other trades are. Make sure my panel's in good shape. It is. Okay, so see right here? See how I took out this stop right here? I'm going to have to adjust this, but see how this star's over this bar right here on CL? This star took out this stop, came back in with this star. I got to adjust this chart. And see how that resulted in a lift from roughly 71.67 to 71.84, right? That is what I'm looking for. So now what do I want when I'm trading, right? So it takes some focus for sure. So now I know what I want is I want to come in, right? So I have the star on top now. So I'm looking for either one or two trades. Triangle down, power bar up, right? Or actually just orthodox engulfing with a little yellow dot on it, or take out this trade, right? Take out this low with a star. But what you'll also notice is, see how we took out all those fractals? Give me power bars right over here. So we took out all these power bars. Okay, I wanted that star to appear in close proximity, right? So where's the market heading back to now? It's just coming back to retest this 16,296. I don't even know how much we're up or down. I didn't look. Let me see. And I didn't see any significant econ or Fed speakers today. I mean, there won't be any. I just didn't see any. NQ down 26, ES up 4, CL down 27 cents. And this morning at 5 o'clock, there was a wild algo that took place. I'm telling you, it swept up and down 100 points in like 2 minutes. Up and down. It was crazy. So see over here what I'm looking for? I don't want to short here, right? What I'd want to see is, if I wanted to short, get behind this, and then produce a star, right? I want to get behind that and then produce a star. And where do I know I have resistance? Right behind that, I have all these power bars that are untested to the backside. We know they try to turn it here, right? So it should meet resistance in there anyways. So I know when I push up, right? I know when I push up into that, they should push in and then push out, right? So I'm just looking for when they come in against that area. Does that make sense? And so see how they came into that and rejected down out of that? Now I've got, it didn't produce the star underneath just, right? And I wanted the star to be produced underneath, which is fine. It's 8:35 in the morning, right? So it won't necessarily produce that star, right? But I did know where to come and look, right? I did know where to come and look for the trade, which is very important to me, right? Let's see what it does. We'll just watch and learn. But they pushed right down to where I figured they would push down, right? So now where do I think? See how I don't have any power bars to the upside here, right? I don't have any stars. I don't have any stars, so I know they're pushing up over here. I'm doing my best to describe it in real time, right? So forgive me if it's going too fast, but I'm connecting. So I'm looking at my higher time frame, right? The place that makes the most sense from a higher time frame is 16,328, right? Even though it's been tested, that's my last power bar off to the left, right? This is where that's where the resistance has to be sitting. That's right from a bigger time frame picture, right? If we close underneath that, that was the last swing. It has to come up if it's going to find resistance and test it. So the hard part about this is transferring small time frame to big time frame. So now what I wanted to do, what I'd like to do is get behind one of these power bars. So see how this got behind the power bar over here? Had this had a star on it, it'd have been a no-brainer. If I can get behind this power bar, right, that becomes a no-brainer for me, right? If I get a star when it gets behind it, right? Star 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'd like it to see it do is come up, take this out, and print a star underneath. It won't do it that often. You got to understand. The whole point of it is, outside of the franticness of the first few minutes of the day, it shouldn't produce that many setups. It should be much calmer. So again, what are we trying to do? Take out 16,240. Why? There's no power bars, right? There's no power bars to backside test over here till all the way down over here. 16,166, and then after that, 16,153, right? So I'll rework that. But that's the levels that need to get tested to the downside. But the stops have to be sitting behind 16,240, right? So there's really nothing left untested underneath here because we closed underneath and then we came back up. Even if it's minor, we came back to retest, right? So my guess is underneath 16,240, that's where they're going to find the responsive buyers, right? How far behind? That I don't know. Okay, but I do know that that's where the responsive buyers will be met and have an opportunity to grab the trade. Additionally, what am I looking for? Okay, so see how no star got produced on that? I'm on a 19-tick Renka. See how it came behind here? So stop. There's always going to be stops behind that, right? I wanted to get a stop behind there and produce a power bar, and I want the star on top. That's when I know, hey, I can probably get a lift. But the reality is we're probably going to 16,240.75 by hook or crook, right? So now I can look here. If I get behind here and I get a star down, that might drive me to the low. I know I'm going fast, but this is the only time I have to explain this. Because the rest of the time it'll be so slow that if I want to give you examples, we could sit here for an hour before an example pops up, right? I'll see if ES is giving any better examples. And I'm on by the way, I'm going to a 7-tick on ES to slow the pace down a little bit. Okay, nothing yet. So they're still trying to hold it, right? I actually want to see this power bar now get taken out is what I'm looking for it to happen. May not do it. It doesn't do it all the time. It's just when it does do it, it's very powerful, right? Again, you can see no stars on top. No star was printed here when we took out the power bar. You can see every time they take out a power bar, they try to give it a little turn, right? What the star's telling you is that now you have a very good chance of getting that turn to go. So see how we took this out? Now I'm going to look here. I'm going to look here. I'm going to move CL smaller. Okay, so I'm taking it out. If I end up with a star, right, then I know, oh, so my next place to take out is this 16307, right? So I know they're trying to reverse it. That doesn't shock me, right? And the place I'll look over here, 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 or now take this out and produce a star. So what it does instantly is now I don't have to trade where I don't want to trade, right? And ultimately, this would be the best thing to take out would be this right here, right? And then what am I looking for in the 15-minute? 16,328 is where the resistance is. That's the bottom of that structure, right? Which is where we're pushing back up. And so you go, well, Simon, it didn't produce the trade down here. That's all right. It doesn't have to produce the trade all the time, right? It just doesn't. What it did do, there's a third setup there that it did do that I did not take advantage of. But none of that matters, trust me. It just doesn't matter. If you what you want to do is see it. You want to limit it to the ones you can identify and make work. Like this is incredibly fast, right? So I'm on a 19 tick on the NQ, right? Normally I don't trade in this area. What I want it to do is be slow enough so I can think all this through so I don't have to go at any kind of frenetic pace, right? So 16,328 is resistance, right? We haven't quite gotten there. I'd like to see us push up into that. I know it is over here. I see it that it did, but I can't keep up with all the pieces and explain it at the same time, Bill. What Bill's showing is when you get a down triangle, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. So it was this, and then they backside tested it with a triangle. So if you see that bar and you get this triangle down, followed by a bar with an algo, it's a valid long. But I can only go through so many combinations of setups at the one time. See, like if I throw, here's going to be the problem is anyone who's listening to me right now is going to go, what the fuck is he talking about? Because it's so fast. So right now, A, it's so fast, but B, you have to learn step by step by step, right? So Bill, you're focusing on that one setup, but the setup I actually like the best because of my personality is the one where it takes out the power bar and then puts a star right underneath it. Like that's my trade. Like I can see that coming and I'm like, oh, I'm totally, totally comfortable with that idea, right? So it's just a personality thing and I'm trying to adopt. No, it's fine, but it made total sense. This is exactly how we discussed it, right? Came in, gave triangle down, power bar up with algo on top. That made complete and total sense to me. I have no disagreement with that whatsoever. Just FYI. I think it was 100%. So as I'm coaching y'all, what I'll do is I'll break it down step by step. But the other piece is, right, we don't always get to take out those stop locations, right? So it's a question of being a disciplined trader. I know if we can take this out, we probably get a good rotation back up, but we haven't yet. The other side of that coin is, I know if we take this out, we have a good trade, right? Or I need the market to repair itself and set up some 15-minute bars with support and resistance in these areas that are untested. The only problem I have with these support resistance areas, they've all been tested, right? And I want it naked. So here we come up into that 38, even though it's been technically tested. This 38 all the way up to 55 should prove to be resistance on that chart, right? So now I want to come over here and go. So see how we took this all out? If that produces a star, whichever one of these bars produces a star after we take all this out, right? That's where I want to be, right? And I know I'm right in the area, right? I'm right in the area where I have the potential of finding a big trade. Why? I'm pushing up structurally into that 28. See how we're rejecting off that 28 area? We pushed up into it, and we're rejecting now out of that location, which was what? This right here, right? So it pushed all the way down. There's supply there. They're rejecting out of that supply. I hope that makes sense. And I took that trade, just that location with a few contracts, right? Just to demonstrate that. So I can look at this and go, oh, I know there's supply there. When they hit that supply, they're going to offer it back to them, right? Why? A, they stretched a long way. Why wouldn't you sell when you get there unless there's some news driving the market, right? And now what do we got to do? Re-auction this whole stupid thing. But now we have another stop out place. There will be stops behind that 12, 16, 252 to provide a trade back up. And what you're going to end up with is a balanced range in here while we try to work things out. I'm hoping this is making sense. I know I'm going through it really, really quickly. So now that I know that there's sellers up in that area, what do I want? Well, there it is. It already popped in. There's the star behind the power bars, right? So it's all right. That's step one. That tells me we could go lower. So what I want now is the next triangle up with a algo down. Watch, I'll be able to sequence this in real time on this. It's not difficult for me. And I practiced it all night last night. So here comes my triangle up. Please print it. And then I want my algo down. And you'll notice this is all working on small time frames too. So see when we back end against this, someone's going to try to counter it. I just need them to print this up triangle here. And once you have the sequence down, now you can start working the trade over and over and over in your head until you have the sequencing right. Come on, up triangle. So it has to print 16,321. And I'll be ready to place my sell stop once it does. If it doesn't print it, I got nothing. It's all right if it doesn't print it either. It doesn't have to. It'll print plenty of times today, trust me. Come on, y'all can do it. Okay, now as soon as that prints, I'm going to look on my range bar predictor. So now I'm at 16 and a quarter, right? $16. Now I need 1, 2, 3. It's got to be on this bar here. Now if that star prints at 25, that's where I want to be. Right, so I have to anticipate that it's coming at 25.50, right? And it will be fast. This is a hard time of day to trade. Remember that. It'll be 25.50. I'm limit there, small, right? I don't want to ruin my day. And then the stop goes at 38, basically. And it might, it didn't print the star. So see how it didn't print that star? You should cover it immediately, right? I wanted and needed that star to print in order to make that trade a valid trade. Otherwise, I'm in danger of them continuing to run me over. So and that's exactly what I did. I just covered it for a small loss. Now you wait. And see, I was looking for a very specific signal, right? So it's moving so fast, I have to guess when the signal is going to print itself. right? That part I do have to guess at, right? But I don't have to guess at any other part of the thing. I just know that if the signal's not there, flash cover it immediately for small loss. And it looks like they're back to their old dirty games. Now there's nothing to do, right? But I was in the right area to look for the trade. I just needed that to be a star underneath there, and I didn't get it, right? So I want to take out the stop, reduce the star. And immediately I knew, because I didn't have it, that I could bail on that trade. Worst case, it was a 1 bar stop, right? But even without that, I'm like, okay, pause, stop, don't get run over, right? The bizarro nature of the straight up on this thing is pretty amazing when you think about it. But that's a different topic. And you can see again where it pushed up into. See how it overshot it? Look, it pushed all the way. See that bar right there? Pushed all the way up into towards the body and rejected out, right? That's what the power bar was. Push up, reject out. There's just nothing down here to help it out the other way. That's the problem with the chart in general. I'm telling you, the trading's been much easier overnight than it has been during the U.S. session. Like, we just go berserk when the U.S. session opens from a liquidity standpoint, and they just knock the crap out of people. It's really pretty amazing what they're willing to do in terms of harm. To me, it's just mind-boggling. And what this did, this was an old trade that Daniel and I came up with, where you get behind the power bar and it traps back in, but we couldn't figure out how to eliminate the stops off of this. And the stars have, like, when you do it, when I was going through with Daniel, he was like, holy cow. He was like, it's almost 100% win rate. And I'm like, yeah, it's crazy, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, and the problem was sometimes we would nail it. Like, we come back and we go, like, so see this right here? We see this, bam, comes right in, right? So I wanted to take out the stops. But the problem is you get into trend days where it would get behind. Most of the time it works highly effectively, right? If you can get behind it, like, you can just look all over the place. You get behind a power bar, you get another power bar, it rolls down or it rolls up, right? But we couldn't manage. Where we were getting killed is when the stops would just eviscerate us when it was trend day down or trend day up. And so the question became, well, how do you eliminate the stops that are associated with it? It was great when it worked, and it sucked when it didn't, right? It was just the stops were just like, what the hell? And so Bill did a lot of work on this. I got to tell you, and he's the one who noticed, and he kept coming back to me. And as everyone knows, I don't listen very well. I'm kind of a stubborn person, or I see things in reverse from the way most people see things. I see things opposite. And so Bill kept coming back to me and goes, Simon, it fixes the Daniel trade. Simon, it fixes the Daniel trade. Simon, it fixes the Daniel trade. I was like, I don't see it. Now I see it. And then and Daniel saw it instantly, Bill. When I showed this to Daniel, he and I met early this morning, and he's like, holy cow, it totally fixes it. He goes, you don't even have to worry about what you don't get, because what you do get is insane, right? And then the other thing I'm noticing is, look, if you do take out a bar with a star on it, look, it's almost an instant trap. See that? Where there's a star and you can get behind it. Every time, if there's a star there, even if it doesn't produce a star, look at the quality of the rollover, Bill. So like this one, if that see how that got taken out by a tick? So it works either way. Either you get the power bar with no star and it gets taken out with a star on it, or you get the bar with the star and then you take it out, assuming you get no other setup, right? Then you take it out and it gives you an algo on top and you take it the other way. That's the third piece. Thank you, Dietrich. Sorry, I forgot about that. I will need help. I can't manage all these charts by myself, so please let me know when we're trading inside point of control and I'll go look. I just have, I'm trying to balance too much stuff simultaneously. Hey, Ben, good morning. I recorded this, just FYI, so anyone who wants to watch it again can. Hey, Luke, welcome to the room. It's been years, actually, but welcome. And I'm going to stop the recording right now, and I'll start a new one when it's a little slower. Stop.